Hello, welcome to Grit, Garden, and Thread. So, today we're going to talk about feed bags that are being repurposed to actual bags that we can use for grocery shopping or whatever other uses that you have for them. We've come up with some absolutely beautiful bags that I have gotten these feed bags from all over the country. Had some actually mailed to me, and we're doing a little trade. So for the wonderful bags they send me, I am actually sewing them a couple. I'll send them back to them, and I get to still use their fantastic bags to go ahead and sell or give away as presents. So wanted to kind of show you guys how cute they could be. I tried numerous ways to make these bags, and I just decided to keep with a very basic make for these bags. Tried a couple duffel bags. They're so loud that you really wouldn't want them for duffel bags. At least I wouldn't want them for duffel bags. So I'm going along with this kind of setup of making these bags, which you don't have to cut them up past the one section. So I'm going to show you guys kind of the basic cut up for these. And then I'll go ahead and break down the sewing machine, kind of what the thread we're using, and then we can kind of go from there. So I'm actually starting out with just a regular feed bag. I have actually just cut off the bottom of it. The top was already off, but sometimes you'll notice that if you get these bags, some people aren't very patient and they'll just cut them instead of just using the top zipper that has the string that comes across it. So just cut it back to where you need it. I washed these in our big, huge sink out in our shop. Just ran them through some water. They will be pretty dirty. So just make sure to get that done. And let's go ahead and take it to the cutting table. Okay, so I didn't quite explain. I actually do these in my basement because this is kind of a dirty job. I actually try these on my Bernina upstairs in the living room, and it turned into an absolute nightmare. So we won't be doing that anymore. One, I had to take my Bernina in to get fixed because I was using a thicker thread that it was not happy with. And not only that, but this material is so thick that the Bernina was not happy. So I have actually bought a Singer heavy duty sewing machine that I got at Costco. I'll show you guys more what that sewing machine looks like as we proceed on along, but I'm going to show you just kind of the basics. This bag can be any depth that you want it to be. So just practice with it. As you can see, I do not have a good clean bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and clean that up. Also, take into account, my apologies, that you want the picture on your bags to be kind of centered. So I need to make two handles out of this. So I'm probably going to clean up this bottom, and I'm going to take my handles off the top because I have a lot of other stuff up here that's really not needed. So keep that in mind as you start to figure out where you want this to be on your bag so that you do not lose this absolutely beautiful picture on your bag. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get this centered up a little bit. I'm going to clean up the bottom. So go ahead and just cut off what you need to give it that fresh look that will sew on the bottom. Okay. And now I'm going to clean up the top. And then we'll cut our handles out. Here is an example of a handle that I have actually already cut. So I'm going to show you guys how this happens before it gets cut off. But this is what our end product will look like. So I take 4 inches off my handles for each one. So I'm going to go with the 4 inches that I'll have on here and cut 2 of those. And what we're left with is this bag. I'm not going to cut any extra off so you guys can kind of see what we're left with. So we're going to leave it at this, and we'll go ahead and do our handles next, and then we'll get a bottom to this. All right, here we go. So handles. I'll take these, cut them in half. Easy peasy. Next step, fold in half. After you fold in half, you're going to take each side and fold them in to the middle. Hello, Claire. Have you come to help me? Just keep pushing those seams. When that's done, fold the 2 pieces together. And then we're going to roll it up so it's ready to be sewn. I take it around my hand after I folded it up. This gives it a chance to kind of set in the way that you want it to be before you sew it. Do whatever works for you, but this seems to work the best for me. All right, I will finish up the last handle and meet you back here. Okay, so we are getting ready to sew our handles that we cut, folded, and they're ready to go. But I have to tell you guys of this magical machine from Singer. So Singer Heavy Duty, I found this, a friend found it for me at Costco. So running a Bernina, I of course said that I had burnt it out accidentally sewing these, and so she found out about this and found this $310 machine at Costco. And so the magic has been happening with this machine. I actually put just a little bit thicker thread on than your average everyday Bernina thread. Forgive me for not knowing the exact size, being a, what do I want to say, YouTube taught, I think we say YouTube University taught sewer. I'm not very good with that kind of stuff yet, but it is a little bit thicker thread. I can look it up. I'll put down below where I did find the thread if you guys are interested. But this $310 machine is actually doing the work of everything I need for these feed bags. And I'm doing it in my basement. So if I'm getting stuff dirty, who cares? So let's get started. Okay, so I grabbed just a little bit darker handle that I'm going to use on another bag so you guys can kind of see what we're about ready to get ready to try. This right here are my 2 lines that we're about to sew. Much easier to see on this dark canvas, we'll call it. And also it's a little bit of a zigzag, not a full zigzag, but it gives it just a little bit more strength than just a straight line stitch. So this is about an 1/8 to 1/4, kind of depending. I have no exacts to anything, as most people will know that knows me. So go with what works for you. Trial it a couple times, see if it works. But let's try this and get started. Now, a couple things on these handles. They're not going to be exact. It's okay. There's going to be, as you can see, I got a little bit of a fold here. It's been turned over 3 times. Just understand that these are feed bags. You're not ruining fabric. So have some fun with them. Don't worry about being perfect. All right, we conquered 2 handles raw. I have not cut anything off of them. When we get ready to attach these to the bags, we'll talk about length. But right now, we're making progress. Okay, so we're ready to start the process of sewing the bottom of our bag. But before we start that, I want to show you how this is going to come together. So each bag should have a structure to it. You should have the sides and where that bag should bend in. So when we turn this inside out, we really need to pay attention that the picture stays centered and that we have the structure of each side bent in. It's so much easier to see this now before I turn it inside out and it's only white. So just be aware of that. All right, we are now inside out. So number 1, make sure before you start sewing that you have the top of the bag up and the bottom of the bag is the one you're going to sew. I'm not saying because I made this mistake, but just in case anybody else gets confused by that as they start to sew, not that it's a bag you can't use, it's just upside down. So the structure of the bag, as I spoke of before, and it should naturally fold, and you can see almost where that would be in the middle. So let's get this bottom put in. So I know I have the bottom of the bag. I'm going to go about 1/4 of an inch out from the bottom. I also use a zigzag on the bottom. It just really helps with a strong bottom. If you're nervous at all, take a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch. Also, you do not need to be at the very end of the bag. So if you need to start just a little ways in so that the bag feeds properly, don't worry about it because we're going to cut those ends off to go ahead and box those corners. So let's get started. Okay, so we got the bottom. I should use a different color so you guys can actually see this. But I'm 1/4 of an inch away, just a smidge of a zigzag line. There's no perfection to this. Just get it sewn shut, okay? Now we're gonna make a little bit of a crimpling noise to get this done. We need to box these corners. So put your hand inside. let's get this corner made. Okay, so we have a corner, and you should notice that you can see the layout of where that structure of the bag should be. On this size bag, I suspect it's right around 4.5 inches from the corner that I can just barely see this corner. I'm going to measure that. Ooh, this one's 4 inches. So I want to go ahead and measure 4 inches on the other side. The reason for this is it's really easy to try to go across and draw your line until you go to sew, and then you're way off and your bag does not sit properly. So what I like to do is take that 4 inches from there, which you can really see the structure of the bag there. I'll mark that with a red pin, something you can actually see, which is right there. Then I'm going to go ahead and measure 4 inches from the other side. There. And draw that line across. I draw a line across. I am terrible at trying to keep a straight line. And then I'm going to fold the other side and do the exact same thing. I'll meet you back. It is now time to sew these box corners. So the line that you have, you're going to do the exact same thing on your sewing machine. There's no changes to any of the stitches, straight across. Also, remember that you're just going to stay right alongside that red line. Okay, we have corners. I love to cut these corners off. I have seen bags that just leave these on. It's less material that I have to deal with, so I cut these off. I stay about 1/2 inch away from my red line, so that would have been where it was sewn, and then that's where I cut each one off. Clean up any strings that might be hanging on from your old box corner sewing. Less stuff to have to worry about later.